and welcome back to Kirkham, a Movie a Day. Today we're going to be talking about a film that I was looking forward to quite a bit. It's a sequel to something that was a surprise from late in the COVID period, a film that I recommended to several friends that everybody seemed to enjoy quite a bit, and we spent time watching over and over. And that's the film Nobody. The original film, Nobody, starred Bob Odenkirk as Hutch Mansell, a much maligned everyman who's downtrodden. He's got problems in his marriage. He is unhappy in his job, which basically involves working for his in-laws. He has barely held on to the respect of his children. He just seems to be struggling to fit in and be comfortable. And it turns out there's a reason for that. He's a former government operative with incredibly complex skills that allow him to violently overcome a variety of obstacles in his way. And, you know, the fact that in that first film he confronts and defeats the Russian mob's bank syndicate is a pretty good indicator that he is, on top of things. And in addition, he of course comes from a military background. There's a tattoo on his wrist that even former military people recognize is a designation for a badass black ops group, and they know not to take him on. So sometimes just flashing the tattoo is enough to get him what he wants. The joy, of course, of the first film is that we're discovering all these things about Hutch. The problem with the sequel is we already know all these things, and so the question simply becomes how are we going to see them being deployed in the new film. And I got to be honest with you, it's pretty much a repeat of the first film. The beats are very much the same. There are 2 or 3 action sequences that mimic things that happened in the first movie. They're well staged and very intense, and I think everybody will enjoy them. Those people who like those kinds of films are going to be happy that they went, because there's plenty of gruesomeness and fast-paced martial arts action and a variety of things that go on. Well, basically what happens here is it's a few years later, and Hutch has basically returned to covert operations unwillingly and against the wishes of his wife. Apparently, some government organization has paid his debt to the Russian mob. That doesn't make any sense at all, why the U.S. government would feel obligated to compensate the Russian mob for the money that they've lost. And now Hutch is obligated to compensate the government by, working for them and being paid money that is basically just paying back the debt. It's some kind of indentured slavery that's going on here, and that servitude doesn't make any sense whatsoever, except it does give us an official organization that Hutch can contact for some insider information later on. Like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But because he's struggling with his family still, he plans a little bit of time off. He's going to try and do something to make the family come together a little bit more. And what he plans is a return to an amusement resort that he has happy memories of from his own childhood, when his also government operative father took him and his adopted brother to this fun park for a few days in the middle of nowhere. And so he rediscovers that this place still exists. He plans a trip there, and of course things go sideways. He gets entangled with a group of locals. It turns out that those locals are a front for a big syndicate that is involved in a lot of illegal activities, and the local sheriff, who is played by Colin Hanks, is not smart enough to stay away from being entangled with him after he's already devastated some of the locals. He continues to pursue Hutch in kind of a personal vendetta, which makes no sense. And his boss, who is basically the owner-operator of the amusement resort, is practically an indentured servant as well, because he's been trapped in by the syndicate trying to get out as well. So there's a lot of the same kinds of things that are going on here. There's a big bad that's going to be coming up eventually, and we get fights galore in what's happening. So I'll tell you in a minute that the big advantage of the film, the one thing that it's got going for it, is the final sequence, and the reason for that is the location that they've planned. Basically, remember in the first film that Hutch buys his family's business and uses the location as his staging point as a fortress for fighting against the mobsters that are coming after him. Well, guess what? He's now at the amusement park. He has made an ally, and he and his ally plan the same kind of reception at the amusement park that they had in the first film. The difference here, of course, is that you've got carnival rides that are included. You're going to get some side bits about the shooting gallery that's being included. There's stocking that goes on in the fun house. In essence, it's basically the same setup as the first film, except now it's staged in a location that gives us a chance for some interesting visual elements and some fun payoffs on the stunts. So it's okay. I think it's staged really well. You'll enjoy it, those people who like those things. Now let me tell you what the strong points of the film are. Bob Odenkirk, to start with, still looks great doing his hangdog expression and talking slowly, and when he turns into the incredible fighting machine that he is, it's mostly believable. I think it's staged pretty well. Connie Nielsen gets a lot more to do in this particular film. She becomes part of the action in the last part of the film, so thankfully she's not just sitting on the sidelines tisk-tisking the whole time that the movie's playing. And I mentioned Colin Hanks already. Nothing particularly special about his performance. He's got a haircut that's very similar to his father's haircut in Forrest Gump, short on the sides, and so it's a little interesting there that's going on. Maybe it's a Midwestern thing, I suppose. It's supposed to look that way. But he's a standard stupid bad guy who gets in over his head. And then the other person in the movie is Sharon Stone, who is the head of the big gambling crime syndicate that actually runs things that the park owner is trapped in and that the sheriff is answering to. And Sharon Stone's having a lot of fun chewing into this part. It's over-the-top bad guy stuff. You know that you can't take something seriously when the bad guy has to do a little dance celebrating every infliction of pain that she manages to have on her opposition. It's cartoonish, and it's supposed to be cartoonish. And she leans into it really well and has a lot of fun with it. At the end of the movie, there's going to be a nasty confrontation, and there's going to be some verbal byplay between the characters because of the way they've been set up. That's also reasonably satisfying. Like I said, there's nothing new in the film. It's not as strong as the first one because we don't have the surprise that came with the first one. It's a perfectly satisfactory action thriller that will meet your needs for a Saturday afternoon if that's what you want. It's a come down from the first, but it's still a lot of fun, and I think anybody who has enjoyed the original Nobody is going to appreciate Nobody too, but they're not going to love it quite the same way. All right, well, thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye.